Just one simple action every day and you will get rid of all your anxiety, and you will do it on your own permanently and without medication. Moreover, it has already helped thousands of people, which means it can help you too. My name is Pavel Zhavnirov and I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in anxiety. And here is the most important thing. Until you understand how anxiety actually appears, you will never get rid of it. You may think that anxiety comes from the subconscious, that it appears for no reason, that you cannot control it, but all of this is not true. There are two kinds of anxiety. One of them really comes from your subconscious, but this kind of anxiety saves your life. It is your instinctive reaction to a sudden movement, a loud sound, or when you accidentally touch a hot pan. This anxiety is based on the instinct of self-preservation, but this is not the anxiety we are talking about, because it appears very rarely, maybe once or twice a month. It does not ruin your life like the anxiety created by your own consciousness. Your mind is our main evaluator. It analyzes everything and draws conclusions about everything. And the most unpleasant part is that we believe this conclusion 100%. Think about it. We never have a second or a third opinion. There is always only one, and we believe in it as if it were the only truth in the universe. For example, if I say that a guy proposed to his girlfriend on New Year's Eve in his parents' house and she rejected him, you will think how sad it is, or how sorry you feel for the guy. You will not first feel sorry for him and then suddenly think he deserves it. We always have only one point of view, and when there is only one, you cannot help but believe it. This is exactly how the evaluating mind works. About 50 years ago, Aaron Beck, the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy, discovered the real cause of anxiety. It turned out that the cause in perception, that very evaluation made by our mind. Anxiety appears in response to events that you perceive as dangerous. In other words, your mind evaluates a situation as dangerous, and as a result, anxiety appears on an emotional level. For example, you notice a red spot on your hand. Your mind immediately gives an opinion. It is a skin infection, or dermatitis, or something even worse. This opinion is your perception, and if it is frightening, anxiety appears. Everything depends on what perception arises. If the perception is just a scratch, I probably rubbed against something, then the reaction will be calm. But if the perception might be the beginning of a strong allergy, then anxiety appears. The first step to getting rid of anxiety is to learn to see your perception. Your mind automatically creates perceptions about everything that happens. For example, a person goes to the job interview and thinks, they won't hire me, and anxiety appears. That very thought, they won't hire me, is a perception created by the mind. But the problem is not in the perception itself. The problem is that we treat our perception as if it were reality. A person fully believes that this is exactly what will happen, that they will not get the job, and the stronger they believe in it, the stronger the anxiety becomes. They believe in it because they do not realize that this is just their evaluation, their assumption, their perception of what the outcome of the interview will be. In reality, we do not know what awaits us in the future. That means any thoughts about the future are guesses, not facts. Not they won't hire me, but it seems to me they won't hire me. Maybe they won't hire me. I think they won't hire me. Do you feel the difference? In the first case, it is a fact. In the second, it is a just opinion. Let's do a small experiment. Answer three simple questions. First, what's in my hand? Right, a sheet of paper. Second question, what did I just do? Right, I tore a sheet of paper. And the last question, why did I do it? To show you something? Just because? Because I feel like it? That's what you probably thought. But the truth is, you don't know why I did it. No one knows. All you can do is assume. That's exactly how perception works. It is not what actually happened, it is only your opinion about what happened. When we realize that all we have is an evaluation of events, not a reflection of reality, and when we understand that these evaluations comes from our mind, we separate ourselves as a person from the conclusions that appear in our head. And at that moment, we stop being influenced by those conclusions. Imagine it like this: there is you as a person, there is a world around you, and there are glasses through which you look at this world. Since you have been wearing these glasses all your life, you think this is how the world truly looks. But in reality, has always just been an imagine of the world through the glasses, not the world itself. The same is true for your perception. That means any negative thoughts, any worries in your head, all of this is your perception of what happened in life or your perception of your plans for the future. The appearance of anxiety depends on your perception, and the less you believe in this perception, the weaker the anxiety becomes. Anxiety has one very negative feature that affects your life the most. When your mind considers a situation dangerous, it will continue to treat that situation and all similar situation as dangerous. If you once got into an accident while driving on snowy road in the evening, then every similar drive will feel dangerous and cause anxiety. But this is not the worst part. The worst part is that your mind may start to see any evening drive as a similar to that accident. And then anxiety will appear during any evening drive, no matter whether it's winter or summer. What does this mean overall? It means that over time you begin to perceive more and more situations as dangerous, and as a result, you start to feel anxiety more often. Each new anxiety attracts another one, and little by little there are more and more of them. This means that if, for example, my mind once perceived drinking a cup of coffee as dangerous, then every time I think about drinking coffee, anxiety will appear. 3 times a day I think about coffee, 3 times I feel anxiety. One anxious situation repeats 3 times. That is why you may have 5 or even 25 episodes of anxiety during the day. Not because there are many different situations, but because the same anxious situations keep repeating. But there is also a good side. If the mind stops perceiving a situation as dangerous, you will not just remove one anxiety, you will remove anxiety from all the repeated situations connected to it. The cause of your daily anxiety lies in incorrect work of your mind. Since childhood, year after year, it has been collecting anxious events. And if you are watching video like this, it means it has already collected many of them. So many that anxiety has become a serious problem in your life. The reason for this behavior of the mind is black and white thinking. When the mind faces a clear situation, it first analyzes it like this: is it dangerous or safe? Most situations are perceived as safe, so no strong emotion appear. But if you evaluate everything this way, sooner or later there will be situations that the mind will label as dangerous. There is something called uncertainty. For example, when you plan something in the future and do not know how it will turn out, that is uncertainty. And when something has already happened and you do not understand why, that is also uncertainty. For example, you are going to take a medical tests and you do not know what the result will be. That is uncertainty. Or you wake up and notice the red spot on your neck and do not understand why it appeared. That is also uncertainty. And this is moment your mind analyzes the situation, and if it perceives it as a dangerous, two things happen. First, anxiety appears in that moment. Second, the mind marks the situation and similar ones as dangerous. And every time you face them, it will automatically trigger anxiety. This means that the process of collection anxious events is exactly what led to your anxiety appearing so often. So here is our chain. Uncertainty appears, then your mind evaluates the situation, perceives it as dangerous, collects anxious events, and as a result, anxiety appears more and more often. This is why everything you tried before did not help you to get rid of anxiety. All current methods are focused on removing anxiety that has already appeared. Breathing techniques, meditation, calming methods, all of these are attempts to reduce anxiety in the moment. But they do not change the fact that your mind continues to collect anxious events. That is why anxiety does not decrease on its own. On the contrary, it becomes stronger over time because your mind begins to see more and more situations as dangerous. Of course, this does not mean these methods are useless, but we need to look at reality. If your anxiety keeps growing, it is only a matter of time before these methods stop working. And when it comes to medication, it may mean stronger drugs or higher doses. In any case, this is a path that does not solve the root of the problem. To truly get rid of anxiety, your mind must stop collecting anxious events. Anxiety must begin to appear less and less often until it reaches a comfortable minimum, where it no longer interferes with your life. Maybe for some of you it sounds obvious. There are many misconceptions about anxiety and how to deal with it. Many people collect anxiety for years, then spend years trying to get rid of it, and nothing changes. In fact, it only gets worse. Because if you do not stop the process of collecting anxious events, your condition will keep getting worse. And if you spend time on things that do not work, it is almost the same as doing nothing. And since time works against you in anxiety, the sooner you understand what is reality happening and what truly needs to be done to stop this process, the sooner improvement will begin. How do you start controlling your mind and stop it from collecting anxious events? Once you find the answer to this question, you will not only stop the growth of anxiety, you will also begin to reduce the amount of anxiety that has already been collected. Our mind is formed from the moment we are born and becomes quite stable by the age of 3. This means your mind is almost as old as you, minus 3 years. Everything your mind knows is a result of your life experience. It is a result of your unique path. That is why there are so many opinions about the same things. If you look at the comments under this video, you will find completely opposite reactions. Someone will write, 20 minutes of empty talk, a waste of time. And someone else will write, thank you, Pavel, everything is clear and helpful. The content is the same, but the life experience is different, so the evaluation is different. This means your mind is already formed at the moment you are watching this video, and that cannot be changed. But your life will continue, and your mind will keep gaining new experience and developing further. And this is where you need to act. You need to teach your mind to perceive the life situation correctly in a way that does not create anxiety. To do this, we need to learn to change the perception of situations that your mind currently sees as dangerous and that trigger anxiety. This solves 3 problems at once. First, it reduces the number of anxious events. Second, it removes anxiety from all repeated situations connected to the one you changed. And third, it stops the process of collecting new anxious events. That means anxiety will appear less and less often over time. In other words, when you change your perception of anxious situations, you start to process of reducing anxiety. The good news is that there is already a ready-to-use method for changing perception, and all you need to do is apply it. This method completely changes your perception of any anxious situation. The principle is simple. An anxious situation appears and causes anxiety. You change your perception of it. The next time the same situation appears, you perceive it calmly and no anxiety appears. Everything happens at the very moment anxiety appears. Before, in such situation, you try to calm down or distract yourself. Now you will use this situation to train your mind to perceive everything calmly. When the mind evaluates uncertain situation, it makes two mistakes. The first mistake is that it sees only two possible outcomes in the future, one good and one bad. To fix this, you need to find many possible outcomes from negative to positive. Then second mistake happens when evaluating events that have already occurred. The mind explains them with one frightening cause, and this creates anxiety. To fix this, you need to find the combined causes that together led to what happened. What are combined causes? Look at me. I am wearing this shirt right now. What causes together led to that fact that I am wearing it? I decided to record a video and I needed to get dressed. This shirt has in my closet. It was ironed. I once bought this shirt. I once went into a store where it was sold. I chose this shirt among many others. The point is that if you remove even one cause, it will not be sitting here in this shirt right now. If it had not been ironed, or if I had been in the laundry, I would not be wearing it. So the fact that I am wearing this shirt now is the result of many causes that happened together. These are combined causes. In a broader sense, this is called expanding perception. When you see many possible outcomes in the future instead of just good one and bad one, your confidence spreads across all of them. That reduces certainty in the worst outcome, and anxiety about the future decreases. And when you understand the combined causes behind any event that has already happened, you begin to relate it calmly and naturally. Here is a clear example of how to apply this method to your own situation. It may seem to you that your anxiety appears for no reason, that you lie on the couch, not thinking about anything, nothing happens, and suddenly anxiety appears. Or you may think that only your symptoms cause anxiety, or that you worry only about your loved ones, or that your anxiety will never go away. Many people think they have a special, unique case, that their anxiety appears differently than everyone else. But in reality, anxiety as an emotion appears in the same way for everyone. The chain is always the same: event, perception, anxiety. Sometimes it is just hard to identify the event you reacted to or put your perception into words. But every anxious reaction appears exactly through this chain. Let me tell you about my client Tanya. She woke up in the morning, has breakfast, and was getting ready for work. She was getting dressed, and right before leaving, anxiety suddenly appeared. Now, let's mentally press pause and that moment and analyze what happened and what exactly triggered her anxiety. I simply asked her, what happened right before the anxiety appeared? What were you thinking about? What did you notice? Eventually, we found the answer. Tanya looked in the mirror before leaving and immediately had the thought that she might have a health problem. But this thought did not appear on its own. It was her perception. In the mirror, she saw red eyes and swollen face. At that moment, her mind evaluated this as something dangerous and explained it with one frightening cause: something is wrong with my health. So, here's what actually happened. Tatiana saw her swollen face and red eyes. Then the perception appeared: I have a health problem. And then anxiety appeared. This is how we were able to determine what really happened and how the anxiety started. The next step was to teach her mind to perceive the situation correctly. To do that, we needed to analyze and find the combined causes that led to her red eyes and swollen face that morning. To find these causes, I asked her what she had done the day before and what could have influenced it. Surprisingly, she quickly found many reasons. She worked a lot at the computer. The air was dry because of heating. Neck muscles were tense. She is going through menopause. She slept poorly. She drank a lot of water before bed. She did not go to the bathroom before sleeping. She cried the day before. She did not use the eye drops. She did not remove her makeup. We found 10 causes, and there were actually more, but this was enough to show the mind that what happened was not the result of one frightening reason, but the result of many combined causes. When Tatiana understood all the causes, she immediately began to feel calm about what had happened. Some of you may now feel the urge to write everything down, to analyze every detail, to fill notebooks with notes and dedicate your life to analyze anxiety. But this is not the right way. First, you will rush and make mistakes. Second, you will quickly burn out before getting results. Remember, your anxiety increased over many years. Your mind gradually began to see more and more situations as dangerous. And now you can start the reverse process, but in the better to improve slowly and steadily. It is enough to work through just one anxiety per day. When anxiety appears, identify the event, identify the perception, write down the combined causes or the possible outcomes, and that's it. Rest, do the next one tomorrow. This way you will naturally integrate this method in your life and it will become as normal as brushing your teeth in the morning. It is important to focus on yourself. Tatiana did not write everything perfectly at first time. Some points did not fit, some I helped her with. It was teamwork, and that is why each cause took its proper place and her perception toward the situation changed. When you work through your situation on your own, you should also feel that your perception has changed. Not just that you wrote things down, but that your mind now perceives the situation differently. And finally, I have a valuable gift for you. I understand that you still have many questions. How to apply this in your specific case, where to see more examples, how to identify your events, how to know whether to work with causes or possible outcomes, etc. That is why I recorded a separate free video course for you where I explain in detail how to use this method. All you need to do is watch it twice, write down the rules for identifying events and analyzing them, and work through all your anxiety. The video course is available to you right now. Go watch it, apply it, and start changing your life. The link is in the description under this video. And that's all for now. Take care, my friends.